with it, everything like the different
Okay,
layouts. Yeah.
ideas.
No.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And before we begin, I'd like to give some special welcomes. Past Superintendent, Dr. Lloyd Burstuff, I saw you walk in. Past board members and good friends. Oh, Lloyd, good friend also. Juan Alvarado and Keith Byram. Very special friend, and is this on a speaker anywhere?
It's on
No.
speaker.
Or do I have to raise my voice?
Working on it.
New meeting place, so
Yeah,
we're gonna adjust the volume here, right, Roger?
Yes, sir.
And also want to say a very special welcome to a good friend and a wife of a very close board member of mine and several of us up here. Linda, welcome to our meeting today. And someone who led one of our growth and planning committee for many years and did a lot of work for this district. Close friend also, UMAC. Welcome. Just wait. That's okay. I hope to be there one day. With that said, our invocation and pledges of allegiance.
Right, please stand. Lord, you called us to move together, avoid the world's distractions, and serve those around us. Bless this meeting with your love and guidance. Help us to be open-minded and to listen to others with respect. We are grateful for the opportunity to come together as a group of people who share a common goal. Grant us the grace we need to work together, trusting in your strength and power. Please send your love and protection to those who are in attendance for this meeting. Bless the hearts and minds of our leadership and grant them the wisdom to make good decisions. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to give a welcome to everyone here. This is our new meeting room. It'll be our boardroom for the next, 14 months? I'd say for the next 14. As you can see, our old building is down. And the reason the new construction hasn't happened is permit holdup, of course, right? So if anybody has any contacts with Bear County permits, give them a phone call for us. But with that said, I'd like to go on now to recognitions.
Yes, sir. At this time, we don't have any recognitions. Correct.
Okay.
Randy, do you have anybody to sign up?
We do. So I'm going to read Southwick Public Hearing Rule. When addressing the audience during the public forum, speakers' commentary must adhere to the following. Everyone must model courtesy, respect. Speakers shall not employ profane or threatening language, nor shall they engage in any personal attacks. The public has the right to make critical and harsh remarks. However, the expectation is that the message delivered by the speaker is done so in a constructive manner with a collaborative purpose. Speakers are expected to respect both the decorum of the public meeting and authority of the board. Please request that derogatory or inflammatory statements and personal attacks on individuals be avoided. Caution should be exercised in publicly attacking specific individuals. In accordance with Board Policy BED Local, the board shall not deliberate or respond to any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Speakers who have signed up to speak on a specific agenda item must focus their comments on the posted agenda item. We have Dr. Keith Byram and Sherry Byram, persons who signed up to speak in general public comments this evening. If y'all would come up to the podium. Dr. Byram, you'll have 3 minutes to make your public comments.
Oh, I can't do it in 3 minutes, but I'll try.
Dr. Ball, President Vasquez, board. I'm honored to have an opportunity to, I'm honored, it didn't work.
No.
That's a trick.
Yeah, he's working on
Oh, okay. I'm honored to have an opportunity to say a few words about Mike Frazier. He was a person who was a dear friend, and I worked with him for over 35 years in the capacity as a board member. He was a fine, fine man. I met him one day, kind of by accident, driving down 1604, looking over and seeing a sign that he was putting up. I didn't know who he was. He was putting up the sign, and it said Bordano Fields. And so I pulled right in. I thought it was going to be a baseball field. And I pulled up, and there was Mike. And I said, "It's going to be a baseball field?" He said, "No, they're running for the school board." That was Carolyn Fields and Susan Bordano, of course. So we started talking and found out that we almost had exactly the same background in education and counseling and that kind of thing. And so I asked him, he told me there were a lot of things that need to be improved here. And he said, I'm going to tell you what they are. And this is what he wrote in 1983, what he told me. He said, I've got to, we have to, first thing he says, first thing we got to do is get a good football team. That's the first thing. Secondly, we got to build gyms because the kids don't have any place to go if it was raining. Thirdly, the schools need air conditioning, particularly the elementaries. We need a new school in big country. We need clean schools. We need to have good plumbing, and especially to get rid of the smell of the sewers that we had at the time. Now let me ask you, how did he do? Fantastic. Everything he told me that he wanted to do in 1983, he did. Not only that, in the following years, he added to that with more schools and then finally a second high school. And all you have to do is go look at them and know they are the pride of the district, and other districts don't have anything near what they are. I know he would say that when I'm going to give the credit to him, but I know he would say it was a team effort. It was the board and the superintendents and all working together. But Mike was the leader. Mike led us. If we started to go astray, Mike would pull us back.
20 seconds.
So thank you so much for this opportunity. And Linda, we love you.
Our next speaker, Melinda Rodriguez. You will come up.
Okay, it's been a while. Okay, I would like to address the board and the trustees this evening on a topic I presented in March of 2022. I sent it in, I think it was during the pandemic time, and somebody had read it. And naming this natatorium after Mike Carl Frazier. At that time, I also mentioned maybe naming the football stadium after him. I grew up in Southwest. I started here in 1976. I went to the 6th grade campus at the elementary. So I'm an alumni from Southwest, class of 82. My kids have graduated from here. I retired from here in 2019 from Southwest. So 27 out of my 31 years was here at Southwest. I met Mike Frazier in 1980. His son, Mike, is one of my classmates. And so we used to sit there and tell Mike, hey, tell your dad to change this, tell your dad to do this, when he became a board member. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. And so we used to goof around with Mike. Very productive. I used to talk to Mike. Also, when I graduated, I started working at Elm Creek, and he was a grandparent with his grandson, Justin. And we would talk about different things, Southwest, how it was, and what was going on. And then I remember mentioning retirement. He goes, you're too young to retire. And I was like, well, I just want to know what it is. What's it like one day when it gets there? And he used to talk to me as a coach, because he was a coach in Harlandale, and he used to talk about how he coached baseball. And he would tell me, one thing about coaching is that you put in a lot of hours. So make sure when you're a coach that your family comes first. And Southwest is one of my big families. And I loved when he gave me the quote, something like family comes first, family before yourself. And I was like, wow. And he goes, you need to make sure that you touch base with that, but also make sure that when you're working someplace, and I said, I love Southwest. I graduated from here. So I worked at the high school, I worked at the middle school, and I worked at the elementary. Some words I'd like to say is that he has been a go-getter for Southwest. He's part of this family. We should keep his legend alive, and naming something after him just keeps him going. He's put a lot into Southwest, 40 years, president, 9 terms. I mean, he is just such a good, strong person. I know in the press box, I'm watching that go up, and I know it has other features, I guess, like little rooms, naming people that have been an alumni as well. You know, not only Mike Frazier there, but just people that have given out to Southwest. So I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And just Mike Frazier is just a wonderful person. His wife was my PE teacher in 6th grade.
Next up, we have Dr. Lloyd Versta. Definitely putting him on the timer. 30 seconds, sir.
So good evening, trustees, and thank you for this opportunity to come up and share a few words. I did have put some words down on paper because I don't want to mess this up. So I understand and appreciate everything that you all do. You do a thankless job many times, but you do a great job. I want you to hear that from a community member now. My wife said I should lead off with this, and so I'm going to take her advice. I can't believe I'm in a board meeting in July during the summer, but I'm in a board meeting in July during the summer. And tonight I understand that you all are considering naming the remodeled football facility to include Mike Carl Frazier as part of that name. I'm going to tell you, I feel this way about all board members, but I'm going to tell you, Mike was something special with his service heart that he led with, serving for over 4 decades here at Southwest ISD, 36 of those years as president. And I'd like to touch on about 3 issues that I know that Mike was engaged in, involved with, and led here in the district that have benefited our youth and our families and our community, and will continue to support our community well into the future. In the late 70s, early 80s, there was a bunch of conversation about where the city's going to put their dump, and they decided to put that dump on the south side of San Antonio. During that time, there was a lot of community uproar, and a lot of other former board members were engaged and involved in that. When everyone came to the fruition that we're not going to be able to change the mind of state or local authorities, they're going to place it here, Mike led the effort that if we are going to ask our children and our family to live in the shadow of a dump, that they should benefit from that being there. From that action, those conversations over time, we were able to work out that a part of the profits from people taking stuff to the dump would funnel to Southwest ISD. From those funds, we've been able to create an over $1 million endowment that provides student scholarship for post-high school opportunity for hundreds and hundreds of students every year. It's a legacy that's not only served our youth and served our families for the last 20 years, but will for us time as far as we can see. I think that's a real critical, consequential effort and action that Mike really led. The other one is when Union Pacific decided that they wanted to put a modem here in Southwest ISD territory. The original plans consisted of the main entrance being on Pearsall Road. Knowing that hundreds and hundreds of 18-wheelers were going to gain access, create unsafe passage for our youth who are driving, our families, our community, through the efforts that hit the media and lived in the media for over a month, Union Pacific reluctantly finally agreed to support a bridge to move that main entrance to IH-35, creating a safer environment for our youth and for our students. When Toyota came, he was critical in the 313 agreement. That was the founding funds that we needed to create the Southwest Education Foundation. On a personal note, I benefited from Mr. Frazier's tutelage as the former superintendent here at Southwest ISD. So many things he's done. I felt the wrath of Mike. I benefited from feeling the wrath of Mike. He was unapologetically resonant in his decisions, and he stuck with them. He taught me the benefit of that. But that's not what surprised me the most. What surprised me the most, the 2 times I applied for this job, I did not get it, is that he reached out to me on both of those occasions to have a conversation. Mike is a special human being who had great impact in Southwest ISD and deserves to be memorialized here at Southwest. Thank you.
Mr. Board President, members, I am asking for permission to take an agenda item out of order. If you would allow us to move to the business and finance, specifically letter A.
Board members, unless anyone opposes, we will go to item 8A.
Board members, in working with our subcommittee and also following board policy CW local, we would like to recommend that the board approve to name the stadium Dragon Stadium and dedicate and honor Mr. Mike Frazier by naming the field Frazier Field.
Board members, questions, statements at this time? I'll take a moment of personal privilege. I first got on this board in 2000. Wow. And Mr. Alvarado, Mr. Frazier, Keith Byram, my mentors. Frazier and I sat next to each other for a few years. Me as vice president, him as president. I met Mike before I met Mike. I was a volunteer coach for CYO, one of the Northside gyms, and all over that gym was banners of championships that school had won, and the coach, Mike Frazier. So one of the first things I said to Mike was Mike, is that you, the guy that coached over at Dorothy? He goes, yeah, that's me. And I said, wow. And of course, through the years, I learned about his baseball playing, and we got to be good friends. We didn't always see eye to eye, and that's what I loved about Mike, is when he didn't agree with something, he'd let you know. But he was also open to you when you didn't agree with something. And we would have our conversations, and like board members that I just mentioned, Mike was always children first. I think this is something that I know a lot of the youngins will say, who's Mike Frazier? Well, if they come up to me, I'll sit down and talk to them and tell them who Mike Frazier was. But I think this is something long time coming, and it's well deserved. And with that said, I'll entertain a motion.
I second.
Motion second that we name our stadium Dragon. We keep the name of our stadium as Dragon Stadium, but we name the field Mike C. Frazier Field. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. With that said, I will now the rest of the meeting is not going to be as exciting, I guarantee you. Okay, it's going to be a long business meeting. I'd like to take about a 5-10 minute break. Oh, we do have a presentation.
Yes.
My apologies.
We have a presentation if the board
And I
will
have
allow
a
this.
presentation.
So I'm going to go ahead and read something, and then I'll call you up, and Ms. Frazier as well. Well, as you heard from many of his friends and colleagues, today we gather to honor and officially dedicate the field at Southwest High School Dragon Stadium to the memory of Mr. Michael C. Frazier. He was a remarkable leader whose dedication to Southwest Independent School District transformed our community profoundly. Mike Frazier's legacy is one of commitment to our students, teachers, and families. He graduated from Southwest High School in 1963 and was deeply rooted in our community. He tirelessly served on the Southwest ISD Board of Trustees for 40 years, guiding our district through significant growth and improvement. Under his leadership, Southwest ISD expanded from a small 4A school to a thriving educational hub with multiple high schools, middle schools, and elementary campuses. His vision and determination brought forth the construction of numerous new schools and the modernization of existing facilities, ensuring our students had the best environments to learn and grow. Beyond his accomplishments in Southwest ISD's infrastructure, Mike Frazier's impact was very personal. He cared deeply for every student, teacher, and staff member, always striving to provide them with the resources and support they needed to succeed. His genuine concern for the well-being and education of our children was evident, as you've heard today, in every decision he made. Mr. Frazier's leadership extended beyond the boardroom. He created a sense of community and family within Southwest. His collaboration with community and district leaders serves as a prime example of his ability to bring people together for a common purpose, whether it was improving school security, enhancing academic standards, or advocating for the arts. Mike Frazier was a steadfast advocate for what was right and necessary for our district. Mr. Frazier always put family first. It was important to him that his family believed in God's saving grace. Through their belief in Jesus, his love, teachings, and influence are evident and live in his adult children, their spouses, grandkids, and many whose lives he touched throughout the years. Today, as we dedicate the field in his honor, we recognize Mike Frazier as a leader, father figure, mentor, and a friend to many. His legacy lives on in the halls of our schools, the achievements of our students, and the spirit of unity he instilled in us all. So it is with great honor that we officially name Dragon Stadium's field Mike E. Frazier Field. May it stand as a tribute to Mike Frazier's enduring legacy and profound impact on the Southwest Independent School District. His dedication, honesty, and commitment to our community will continue to inspire generations to come. At this time, I'd like our board president, Mr. Vasquez, to please come forward. This is Linda Frazier. Would you please come forward? You want this, or?
Linda. In namesake and recognition in honor of Michael C. Frazier, known to us as Mike. In grateful recognition of Mr. Frazier's lifelong commitment to Southwest ISD and community. His unfaltering dedication and countless contributions are deeply appreciated. In honor of his remarkable service, Southwest ISD proudly names Southwest High School Stadium football field Mike C. Frazier Field.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us out this evening. On behalf of Mike Frazier's family, my grandfather, I would like to say thank you for honoring him in this distinguished manner. We are always so proud to hear how our papa was admired for his great leadership and involvement as a community member to the Southwest ISD family. We love how his legacy is living on through not only our family, but the Southwest ISD community as well. It was my first convocation shortly after I started working for Southwest ISD when I heard Mike Frazier and his impact mentioned. I was speaking to my Nana, Linda Jean, shortly after, and we said something to the fact of it being interesting how he seems so famous here, almost like a movie star, when he was simply just our papa. A simple, very humble man, always supporting all of his grandchildren and family, yelling at any umpire while we were playing our sports, taking us hunting at the Dearleys, or the moment he comes over to our house doing room inspections. Knowing my papa, were he still here with us today, he probably wouldn't have even allowed the field to be named after him or anything at all. However, he has been gone for nearly 4 years now, and he may be shaking his head at all of this, but he was truly an amazing human being, and he deserves this significant honor and every single bit of acknowledgement. Thank you again for this beautiful, beautiful tribute.
With that said, let's take it on a 10-minute break, okay? For those of you that are the state representatives of this state,
If Frazier could please stay up here so we could take a few pictures.
there's refreshments and cake if you walk through those double doors.
We'd like to invite everybody to stay, and anybody that wants to take pictures, we'll take a few minutes to take pictures.
Board members? There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Okay, now, items of information. Construction update.
Yes, sir, we got Thomas is gonna come up. Start updates.
Drop everything. Good evening. So for tonight on the construction report, we have 3 that I'm going to report on, and we all have 2 schematic design presentations that we have the architect firms here to do. In the past, we'll probably go through that schematic design presentation. No, there'll be an action item for it later tonight under the business and finance. So actually, I do need to call up Rafael Bedoya and Paul Gamble. They are here to do a quick presentation on the the Dragon Stadium press box here. They've got the exciting hot job, so.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. President, superintendent, members of the board. We're going to give you a quick drone video that was done this morning. It'll kind of be self-explanatory, but we'll kind of run through it real quick. This is done from this morning. You're basically going to see a lot of the exterior sheathing starting to go up. Some of the waterproofing is going on. Some of the blocking for the windows that are going to start being installed sometime next week. And we're turning now to the north part of it, where you have some of those observation decks that we've talked about. And as we're turning the corner, you're going to see the backside that's facing the field, and you can see those balconies that we have up there on the second floor. So they're starting to put the sheathing on the exterior. On the interior, they're working on metal framing. They're starting to install the ducts for the mechanical systems. They're doing a lot of plumbing roughings, electrical roughing. So they're doing a lot of activity. This weather has held them up slightly, but not enough to keep them back a lot. They're still out there every day, and they keep going. We have a tentatively substantial completion for August 23rd. That's still in line with our schedule. Materials are coming in and they're being installed. They're going up as quickly as they're getting them out there. We still feel comfortable that we are meeting the dates that we've set out, and we still haven't used any of the contingency, so that's still available for us to either do something with it or return it back to the district. So everything's been going well so far. We've taken a little bit extra of the parking that's out there that's being used for bands, so they've been moved a little bit further so materials can come in and contractors out there, because there's a lot of trades that are active out there, but everything's going well. Anything that you want to add, Paul?
I'm honored to be a part of it.
So one other thing that we did do, and Rafael touched on it briefly, the band practice field is going to be out of commission where it normally was. So we've actually just recently went ahead and painted another one back in the old space near the baseball field. So we've talked to Miss Ball, and she's aware and knows what the process is. But on that August 23rd date, we should have them back into their normal location and back practicing there at the regular tower. So,
Y'all have any questions for us today?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
okay, so then the other jobs that are going on currently, central office renovation. I know you all drive past it when you come in here and everybody sees it, but all of the demolition has been done except for building 400. We are still currently doing the abatement part of the building 400 so we can tear that building down. That should wrap up hopefully by the end of next week, and then they'll move there. I don't know if y'all noticed that the Quonset hut where the grounds crew shop was, the old bus barn, it went to the ground last week on Thursday. So they are moving forward with all of the demolition. We got the building pad staked out, a lot of utility works going on, but we have not received the BPA yet from the county. So we are still waiting on that. Dr. Ball and I actually had a meeting today with Rebecca Clay Flores' operations manager. And so we were trying to throw out ideas on what we can do in the future, but we're looking for those. But right now, they tell us any day. So we're waiting on that. Is the minute we get that building permit, KenCon's ready to go to start putting the building foundation down. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about central office right now. The Bob Hope Elementary School renovation, KenCon has mobilized. They've started the site work. They've torn out all of the existing asphalt and dirt where the new building or addition is going to go. The portables arrived this week. They are currently working on putting the decks and putting them together and getting them leveled out. That way, when we shortly after the start of school, we'll be moving into those. We still need to get them hooked up with the utilities, the fire alarm, PA, the sewer, everything needs to get hooked up to them. So that will probably not happen right at the first day of school, but shortly after that, we will. We actually, along with KenCon and OCR, we met with Miss Garza and her VP yesterday, kind of went through where will we be at the start of school, what the plan will be as we phase through it. So I think she's on board, understands what's going on. The one thing that we had to remove the pre-K playground. There's just not room to, part of it was in the building pad of the new addition. The other part of it was in all of the laydown area, contractor parking and spoils area that we need. The site is just so small. So we are working with Ms. Garza and with the pre-K folks to try and bring in additional supplemental playground equipment for the year. We will put it back once we remove the portables, but it'll have to wait until after the portables are gone from the site once the renovation is done. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on Bob Hope. Okay, then I'm going to, the first presentation we have is LPA. Sorry, they're all running together. So this is Jim Opelt and Chris Senville, and they're going to provide the schematic design presentation for Elm Creek.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having us tonight. We're really excited to share progress to date on Elm Creek Elementary School. So a little bit on the overall schedule. We're wrapping up schematic design. We expect to be complete with construction documents around Thanksgiving. We're hoping to get the contractor mobilized in January. And we're looking at likely a 2-year construction schedule, kind of because we're needing to do it in phases. So we'll move quarters of the building out into the portables and renovate those, and then they'll move back into that building. So looking at about a 2-year construction process. Just wanted to share a little bit about our process. So we were really lucky to be able to meet and get to know the campus. So Principal Garza and about 10 campus administrators and teachers, we kind of worked through visioning with them. So they helped us understand what makes Elm Creek unique. And how we'll define success on this project. And really what we learned is that the school has really good bones. It's very functional, but they are hoping to have a kind of a school-wide refresh on the interior to really bring it up to date. A lot of it hasn't been touched since the 90s. There are also some targeted improvements in the building, expanding the library, providing a couple extra staff restrooms, and then some work on the playground area that we'll get into a little more detail on. So the overall concept in working with our campus team has really been about growth, change, and exploration. We learned that this is a multi-generational campus, so a lot of people have really long history. Some of the teachers there have been teaching there since it opened, which is really amazing. It's an amazing place. Looking at the floor plan, overall, most of the things will stay where they are. We're not looking at a lot of moving people around. We're looking at more targeted renovations. So we'll still have 39 teaching spaces, but we'll go into a little more detail in some of the areas that have larger renovations. So the main entry, one of the big things here is adding a toilet room for visitors because there's not an easily accessible toilet room. We're also renovating the reception desk. It'll be totally refreshed in the entire space, but we're moving the reception desk so that we'll have a secure vestibule with a window, a transaction window to get visitors onto campus quickly. And these are a couple of views of that space. So the materiality in here, we're really looking to bring warm materials in. So we have some wood feeling in the ceiling and the walls. You can see the renovated desk here and then the transaction window on the right. And then in the library, one of the biggest things there is a slight reorganization to make the library a little bit larger and to get the teaching space in the library kind of in the corner of the L shape, so the upper portion of the L shape there on the screen. So what that does, the reorganization allows all of the stacks, all of the books to be toward the front of the library, along with a new desk for the librarian. So a couple of views in here. So this is right in the entry door looking toward the new teaching space behind the kind of tree wall feature. And then this is a view where you can see the new desk and the stacks to the right. The typical classrooms, they're going to stay largely as they are, but they'll have a full interior materials refresh. So new flooring, new ceilings, lighting, and new millwork. So just a couple of views of what that will feel like. In the classrooms, we heard that more rideable surface and tackable surface was needed. So we'll be providing additional tack and rideable walls. This is a view of the new millwork. Life skills and the special education program at Elm Creek, this is an opportunity to really bring those up to modern day standards. So one thing that we're looking to do is move life skills to the current art room. In doing that, we're able to provide a larger space, which is really a need for kids in life skills. So this is a floor plan showing that. They'll have a dedicated toilet room with a changing table in the toilet room there. We're also looking at integrating a sensory area into a corner of the life skills room. And with the move of life skills, the space where it is now, we're able to renovate to provide a larger ECSE room. We're also able to take some of that space and dedicate that to some specialists. So we're providing 5 new offices. The specialists now are largely in the portables, so we'll be able to bring them into campus where they can be most effective. The cafeteria footprint and stage is really, it's set up really well. We just are looking to update it a little bit. So we'll be replacing the ceilings and the flooring, and we're looking to add a couple of windows in this space. So the existing space has a really large ceiling feature that feels a little bit dated now. It's from the 90s. So we're looking to open that up to bring in new lighting, new acoustical treatment, and really provide an updated feel to the space. This is a view where you can see one of the new windows on the right side. And turn over to Chris.
Okay, so we have a couple of exterior upgrades that we're doing. So one of the main ones is the front entrance canopy. It was kind of confusing, at least upon the entrance of it when we toured the building. So we're looking at demoing the pyramid entrances for the campus, and we'll update it with a new modern canopy that signifies hierarchy into the main entrance for everyone. And we're also going to be replacing the bus drop-off along the east side of the campus and the rear canopy that's near the cafeteria and gym. And along with that, we also, through our findings with the teachers group, we discuss trying to improve ways for the queuing in the front of the parking lot, which we just heard it was difficult to get out of the school when it's student pickup time. So we'll be working with the district more on some ideas to try and alleviate the parking. But we were proposing connecting the 2 drives and possibly adding some sliding security gates. And these are just a couple of images for our proposed canopy. And along the rear of the campus, we mentioned that we're going to be relocating the playground equipment. Currently, right now, you have to cross the street to get to it. And so we want to relocate it to the south portion in this plan right now in a later phase of construction. And along with that, we're looking to make some landscape upgrades and hardscape upgrades as well. So proposing a new basketball court and some other paving for the students. And so this is just an enlarged plan indicating we can add hopscotch courts, foursquare, bicycle rodeo. And along with that, we are going to ensure that we have shading for the renovated and relocated playground. And these are just some conceptual ideas of what that hardscape paving can look like.
Questions for the LPA?
I have a question on on this picture here.
Yes, ma'am.
The columns that are holding up the canopy, are those the same size as the columns that are when you're going into the school?
So what we're looking at here, we're going to tear down the existing canopy that's there and rebuild the canopy. So the image that's on screen now is new steel columns, and then they're wrapped with limestone veneer.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're the same size as what's there now. We can go take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I know at pickup time, they're using their little intercoms and yelling for the kids. And I don't know if those columns are going to prevent them from seeing little kids that, you know what I mean? I don't know if did the principal saw that? She's like good with the columns?
Yes, ma'am. We can talk more about that though. If the concern is visibility and being able to hear teachers, we can look into that a little more.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next will be Jeff Rodriguez with Huckabee. He will be presenting the same schematic design presentation for the Crewald School of the Arts.
Thank you. Mr. President, Dr. Ball, and members of the board, it's a pleasure for us at Huckabee to be here presenting today for Crewald School of the Arts schematic design presentation. What was this one? Okay. Okay. So very good. I can do that. So thank you. All right. So today we would like to go over our presentation with you and work through what we've done for schematic design. And so currently we are working with a number of consultants as well for this project. We are working with Pape Dawson, a civil engineer. We're working with Alpha for structural, MEP engineers for engineering. We have Combs Consulting for technology and Cooper Lochte for landscape. So we have a bunch of narratives here that I'll speak through the presentation about the updates for the project. So currently we're working on the outside as well as the inside of the building for the elementary school. And so these are narratives that you can read through the presentation. So currently what we're showing is we're showing about a 16 to 18 month construction period starting this spring here of 25. We will work with the facilities department to bring portable buildings on site. So we'll have swing space for the construction as it's working through the renovations of the building. On the outside, we're looking at replacing the 3 canopies, the canopy at the gymnasium area, the parent drive, as well as the bus loop. That's about 7,000 square feet of canopy replacement. In addition to that, we are looking at upgrading some of the finishes on the outside, some of the flashing. We know that the campus has recently had a new roof and a lot of mechanical upgrades, so we're not touching that component of the campus, but we will be working with the downspouts, the gutters, and the flashing as well. In addition to that, we've worked with the facilities department, and we understand that there's some current sewer smells in the back, and so we'll work through that with our civil engineer to make sure we have any sewer issues or waste issues addressed through the upgrade of this project. And lastly, on the exterior, we are also adding an outdoor amphitheater. We have a few presentation slides for that we'll go through as we go through this presentation. So for the most part, the campus is getting a all new fresh update on finishes. And so currently all the schools have vinyl wall covering throughout, and we are going to be removing that vinyl wall covering in all the classrooms and the corridors. And so we'll work through that at the campus. But our focus has been, since this is the School of Arts, we worked with the programming to look through how we could maximize some space in addition to the platform, but classroom space that we could utilize within the building. And so at the front of the school there, adjacent to the administration, we were able to capitalize on a 2 classroom component there where we're going to update that for performances and dance practice there right at the beginning or the entry of the school. In addition to that, in working with facilities, we understand that there are a number of deficient on a number of faculty restrooms. So we are adding 2 faculty restrooms, one adjacent to the admin, and then the second faculty restroom will be added down by the arts, or by the science, excuse me, area there by the gang restrooms there. In addition to that, we'll be adding a public restroom with the secure vestibule. They'll have access before they get vetted to actually go into the restroom before they come into the school. So that was a understanding that we heard from facilities in the campus that would benefit them. In the administration area, we are going to look at upgrading the millwork and finishes in the admin area, as well as we are looking at upgrades in the library as well, replacing the circulation desk there. Adjacent to the library, we're also asked to look at spaces for collaboration. And so there's a classroom area that we're looking at that they'll have breakout spaces where they could go in and collaborate. Much like a classroom, it'll be an area flexible enough for classes to use during the day. And lastly, the other modifications that we're making here are for the ECSE, which is the Early Childhood Special Education. We're upgrading that room and changing the configuration to a little bit larger than a typical classroom, that they'll have manipulatives in there that they will be able to store and get a better use of that space for this campus. As I mentioned, we're going through and removing all the vinyl wall covering, but in addition to that, we're going to look at upgrading all of the restrooms in the entire facility. Currently, you have single-use restrooms in the pre-KK area. Those currently are undersized for ADA sizing, and so we'll go in and we'll renovate those to make sure that they're adequate for ADA. In addition to that, there are a number of multi-user restrooms that we will be stripping those back down to metal studs and replacing the plumbing fixtures. We'll be looking at the flooring, the ceramic tile, the ceiling, and all the fixtures and accessories that go with those. So you'll have basically brand new finishes in all of your restrooms at the campus. In addition to that, we're going to, down the corridors, currently you have a glazed block that protrudes out of the wall currently. And so we're going to take a look at that and actually remove that wall. They don't make that block anymore. And so any additions and renovations that we would do would be hard to go back and match. And so we're going back with a wainscot ceramic tile down the corridors and remove the protruding object that's there in the corridors. So that'll be an enhancement down all of the corridors there. In the, on page 5, you'll see some examples of some interior elevations of the existing, on the second row, you'll see some of the existing tile there of that protruding glazed block there. And then we also show, adjacent to that on the right, we show some inspiration images of what it could look like. We haven't determined colors yet or finishes for that area, but we'll be working with facilities and with the campus to get better input to understand the direction from both facilities and the campus. As I mentioned earlier, the millwork is all going to be replaced. And so currently you have a plastic laminate on there. And so some of those on the laminate, it dates it when it starts to get damaged and there's not a really good replacement for that. And so what we're proposing is we go in with a wood finish millwork and replace all of the millwork throughout the campus as well. So those couple images that you see down in the lower right-hand corner is just an example of the millwork finish and then a solid surface that we would propose in the wet areas. Moving back to the outside here, we're showing a simple perspective on what we would imagine currently of replacing the 7,000 square foot of canopy there with a more low maintenance materials there. And so we're showing an example of what we would, well, we were showing an example of where we would show the hierarchy of the main entrance of the campus and look at replacing all of those canopies there. Next, we'll move back to the amphitheater. This currently, I think at the building committee, there was a question about the seating there. And so we've calculated that we're showing about 80 seats for this canopy or for this amphitheater with a little raised area for performance or outdoor exploration there where kids could go up there and either do a performance or just show and tell or different things that they could use for curriculum. The other thing that we heard from the committee meeting was that they'd like to increase the size of the canopy as well. And so initially we had it just over the stage area, but we think that we can work through that and maybe expand it so that the audience members will be able to be under shade as well during the fall time and when the sun is pretty bright out there. Back to the schedule. So we are wrapping up schematic design. Next, we'll move into design development phase. We've got about 8 weeks to work through that. And then we'll start our construction documents through November, December, and then expect to go out for bid at the beginning of the year. And so currently, we expect about a 16 to 18 month construction timeline for this work. That's all I have.
I have a question. I didn't hear you mention anything about having an outside window, like, I thought that Brandon had said that we were
haven't
gonna
circled
match.
back with both groups to kind of finalize that
Okay.
as our plan.
Okay, so you will be discussing.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So the only other update I would have is Southwest Elementary. We actually took bids today for the CMR, and that job is schematic design will be being presented, I believe, at the September board meeting. So we'll be doing this same action, and but the CMR did bid today. We'll be bringing that next month probably to bring them on board for Southwest Elementary. Anybody have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. That's it for construction. Okay, monthly tax report.
Yes, sir. We're at 96% collection, so we're going to be at 98 by the end of August. We're usually around 98.5 to 99%, so we're on track.
Thank you. Financial report, investment report, anything you want to point out?
No, sir.
Board members, you've had that before you. Any questions? Report on gifts and requests. Review of purchases over 50,000. Okay, state assessment update. Do we have anything on that?
Yes, we do. We have Lisa Bolte that's gonna give us a report. But when you see this, board members, you will see that it's about 97 slides, okay? It is very lengthy, but this is going to be information that is going to be parceled out. And tonight, we're going to give you a brief component of it, but we wanted to show you, and Delila's on vacation. So she wishes that she was here, but she is on vacation this week. But wanted to share that we have been looking at all the data. And you'll be very pleased to see that we've maintained a lot of the success. And at every one of our subcommittees, we'll also be sharing instructional data with you. So you won't get all of it tonight, but you have the whole packet. And this is what we'll continue to use throughout the year. So Lisa, go ahead and share the highlights.
All right, good evening, Mr. President and board members. Thank you for having me up here today. We're going to talk about our preliminary STAR results. We call them preliminary because these are not filtered for accountability. So first, we're going to look at the Bexar County comparison scores for 2024. So we're looking at the large Bexar County comprehensive districts. And you can see for third grade math, we are in the top 5. When we look at fourth grade math, we are again in the top 5. When we look at fifth grade math, we are again in the top 5. So we've been able to maintain that top 5 rating in math at the elementary level for a number of years now. When we go to sixth grade, we continue to be in the top 5. Seventh grade math, we're actually in the top 3. You'll notice there are a couple of districts that do not give seventh grade math because of the way they have their math program arranged. And then eighth grade math, we continue to be in the top 5. We move to reading language arts. Remember, this is a very changed test because now we have reading and writing integrated together in this test. And we are in third grade reading, we are in the top 5. Fourth grade reading, we're actually in the top 3. Fifth grade, we're in the top 5. Sixth grade, we're in the top 5. We do take a dip at seventh grade. We're in the top 6 at seventh grade fellow. And then eighth grade, we have that dip also where we're at the 6th place for eighth grade fellow. Moving on to science, 5th grade science, we're in the top 5. And eighth grade science, we are again in the top 5. And then finally for eighth grade, we are in the top 4 for social studies. As we move on to the high school, what we've done with the data for the high schools is we have filtered out our retest students so you get a better idea of our curriculum and how our curriculum is performing. Keeping in mind, we do have some districts that are 100% of their eighth graders are taking algebra. So we have some work to do with our algebra. When we look at biology, we're in the top 5. When we look at English 1, we're actually in the top 3 for our first-time testers. And English 2, we're in the top 5. And U.S. history, we're in the top 5. So one of the things I'm always asked the minute we get our scores back is, what is our rating going to be? So we are going to talk to you a little bit about projections, what we might possibly get for a rating this year. This is all preliminary. It's not final till TA says what we have. TA will release publicly the ratings for 2024 on August 16th. 2023 is being skipped because of the lawsuit. Yeah, so it says at the end of the packet that you have, if you want to look at that. I'll give you a minute to flip through to the very end. So keep in mind, there were no letter grades issued in 2023 because of the lawsuit. That still is ongoing litigation. The methodology has completely changed. That's why there's a lawsuit. So we cannot compare 2022 to 2024 because of all the massive sweeping changes that happen to be like comparing apples and grapes. So there are lots of different changes. We have the change in the district letter grade calculation. We have the change in CCMR calculation. And then we have the significant change in how the domain 3 closing the gaps is calculated. And then on top of all those changes, remember we have all the changes to the STAR test with the change to 2.0 question types, the reading test becoming a reading writing test and adding writing at all levels. And then also having the writing component included in not just reading language arts, but also science and social studies. So do not go back and compare 22 to 24. And this is just a prediction. It's not final until TA releases on August 16th. But this is our projection. We are projecting that we will be a C district. We are projecting that we will have an A campus at Cass STEM. We are predicting a number of B campuses, Southwest, Sun Valley, Sky Harbor, Big Country, Indian Creek, and Crewell. We are predicting a number of C campuses, Legacy, McNair, Southwest Elementary, Spicewood, Elm Creek, and Meadow Creek. We are predicting some Ds, McGulliff, Scobie, Bob Hope, and Hidden Cove. And you'll notice there's an asterisk by 2 of those. That's what it's called, a forced D. There are 4 areas that they're grading. And if 3 of those 4 are a D or lower, then they cannot be higher than a D. And so we do have 2 campuses in that situation. And we are predicting that we will have 1 F campus at Resnick. So, any questions?
Questions? Thank you. Demographic study.
Yes, sir. Tonight with us, we have Brent Alexander here with us from School District Strategies. Y'all know Brent, he's been with us a while, helping us predict the future. And he's here with some great news. We're fortunate enough to be a district on the growth. And, you know, we use his numbers to really push our bond and go out and tell the public there were some needs for some campuses. And he's here today to kind of show how that's coming to fruition. And so, Brent, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get started.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chris, President Vasquez, trustees, Dr. Ball. Good to see everybody again. I have our annual demographics update to share with you all. Let's quickly look at some of the big picture historical numbers. Each year I begin with the latest census numbers that we get each fall. So what you see here are from the fall of 23. Basically, the district, the total resident population is just under 73,000 with 21,000, roughly 21,000 total households today. So those numbers are up 8% from the 2020 census, but generally the annual growth rate for the overall population in households is in that 2 to 3% range. Here are the annual snapshot numbers. So remember, these are end of October numbers for the district. So this year, as Mr. Cripps said, exciting that the number for district enrollment did surpass the 14,000 mark for the first time and climbed to a record 14,202. This matches our high scenario growth from last year. We were 14,190, so I always like to see that when, but it did grow just a little bit faster, and I'll show you here in a minute why. But you can see that that number is now at a record high. When you compare the district's total enrollment to the 32 districts that make up the greater San Antonio area, SWISD is still the 7th largest in terms of total enrollment. Now, when you look at the year-over-year growth numbers, you can see the chart on the upper right. You can see that dip during the pandemic and how the district has recovered over these last few years. But note the back-to-back years of 3.5% growth, net growth from 470, 455 each of the last 2 years. So again, seeing the district begin to move to that quicker pace is exciting, and it's related to the housing market, and I'll cover that in more detail coming up. But when you compare what the district is experiencing in terms of growth to the other districts in the region, what you see here is a comparison of 3-year percentage growth. So Southwest ranks 15th when you compare by percentage growth, but when you look at the numbers numerically, the Southwest IC has seen the 5th most overall net growth over the last 3 years. Now, when you keep this chart in mind, when we look at the growth projected at the end, right now the district is ranked 5th, but as you'll see, could move into the top 3 over the next few years. The next few slides cover enrollment history for each attendance level as well as grade level. What's really interesting to see is that during the period of decline, in that 2015 to 2019, right before the pandemic, we started to see those elementary numbers decline. But the great news for you all is that you see that turnaround there in the elementary numbers. What's great to see is when you look at the slide with the, if you look at slide 9 for the grade level numbers, you can see how that growth wave that's still highlighted there in green, those kids have aged up and through and are now producing record high school enrollment. The district had a record class sizes in 9th grade, as well as, did I turn off there and back, 11th grade. But I do have the blue arrows showing that decline that we talked about that for the last few years, that the district was experiencing those losses. But what's really great to see, since 2021, all of the totals from pre-K all the way up to 6th grade, you can see that growth pattern for each grade. That's not something that we're seeing in most districts. Most districts are seeing the numbers in K through 2 actually go down or be flat, and you all are seeing good, strong growth. You're seeing your numbers turn around. Look at kindergarten back up to near 900 this past year. At 1st grade, all the way down to 850, but now back to 972. A great rebound there, and then as well in the other grades in the elementary level. So this chart, again, compares incoming versus outgoing. You can see how from 2006 up until we saw the big charter school expansion and competitive environment begin in 2015, 2016, how the district was in that fast growth pattern, and then how it's changed, over these last few years. But we're starting to see those entry kindergarten and 1st grade numbers come up and start to move you all back to positioning the district for faster growth. The cohort survival rates are in the report for your reference, but I'll move on to the birth rate. So recall, as I shared with you last year, the local birth rate has increased over these last few years. Now, I say that the last few years, the data that we have is through 2020. So the state has continued to not release anything since that time, but the pattern is climbing, and you can see how 836 in 2018, 882, the peak in 2019. So basically what we're expecting is kindergarten to surpass 900 this fall, and then 25 as well. I thought this chart was really interesting. This is the student mobility. This is our comparison of student IDs that were present the previous year in K through 11. Did they move up to 1st through 12th the following year? So we started this about 7 years ago. So you can see the history. The leavers highlighted in blue, we've typically seen about 1,700 students fall into that category. But look, in same thing for newcomers, but look at the number 2177 total newcomers from 23 into 2024 or 23-24 school year. And so that number, that's the highest that we've seen in the district over the last 7 years. So that's really a positive sign when you look at it from a grade level, or excuse me, attendance level perspective. You can see elementary in the blue and the white bars, but for many years, from 2017 through 2021, there were more leaving elementary kids than coming into the district. And then these last 2 years, and then especially this year, we've seen new elementary kids come into the district at a much higher rate than what we have seen over the last several years. And also that high school number has grown as well. So these are some of the indicators of how the growth is beginning to speed up. The geocoding, each spring we geocode map students that are enrolled in the district. One of the key things to take away here is that by 2022, the percentage of enrolled students that lived within the district boundary had dropped to 92%, after being as high as 97 back in 2018. But notice the gradual decline, or excuse me, the gradual increase the last 2 years back up to 94% living within the district boundaries. So the hot spots that we've talked about these last couple of years through the bond and are still there. You can see in red the growth that has occurred over the net growth over the last 3 years. You can see how the Spicewood Park area and then Medio and Southwest attendance zones have also seen significant growth over these last few years. Also pay attention though that there on that east side of 410, we continue to see the aging in Hidden Cove and Indian Creek area, as well as the Big Country area in the north. I have done this table for you all for many, many years, and it continues to show that the houses that are being built in the Spicewood and the Southwest Elementary attendance zone are producing new K through 2 students. That was one of the areas that significantly dropped back prior to the So the main driver of the growth in the district has been the housing market. I've got several slides here that talk about the economic conditions. This chart here is for all of the greater San Antonio area. And the blue line are starts, and I think it really represents what's happened. When it took that big dip here, you can see right here, this is when interest rates in the fall of 22 went to 7%. And so we saw the pullback from the building community through the first part of 23. But over these last year or so, we've seen builders focus on offering rate buy-down programs, and the rate buy-down programs have been essential to keeping the housing market going. They have been, here's a chart that shows you the historical interest rate. Just know that right now we're just under 7%. So right now, we're thinking that the rate is going to stay in that 6.5 to near 7% range going forward. The danger is if it goes over 7. That seems to be the problem, or the area where builders experience problems getting people qualified. A big change that's occurred while the interest rate has increased and prices of land have increased. It's caused affordability issue. And so I put this slide in here to show you how the builders, especially here in the greater San Antonio area, have shifted their area of focus down in price to the entry-level market. What we're seeing is more 40-foot wide lots being developed and more simple floor plans, more basic floor plans being developed. You can see the year-over-year growth in terms of starts under 260,000. So here's an example of what Lennar is building. So this new type of product on the smaller lots often does not even have a garage. Some have a one-car garage, but you'll see various builders throughout the region building this new type of product. This doing is it's the yield from the student yield from these types of houses is half of what we've seen historically. So it takes more of this type of homes to generate enrollment growth. That is a huge thing to remember. All of our research through the yields is showing that nearly all of these subdivisions are yielding 0.2 to 0.5 students per home. Historically, when lots were 50, 60 foot wide or even larger, and homes were 3,000 square feet, 4 and 5 bedroom, we were seeing yields up in that 0.5 to 0.8. So that's something to keep in mind. You're going to see a lot of houses being built, but the rate is still somewhat subdued because it takes more of these homes. But without getting the price down, you wouldn't see the activity that you're seeing today. Again, the growth drivers are still strong. We are seeing job growth a little bit slower, but it's essentially returned back to where it was pre-pandemic. I'll move ahead and show you the record activity. This is really amazing. Look at the blue and the red line. Those are blue are housing starts, red are occupancies or closings. So for the 12-month period ending at the end of March, both were at record highs that we've ever counted out here over these last 20 years. So these are exciting numbers to see. You can see the green line, those are new lots delivered, so just under 1,800 new lots put on the ground. So that's another indication that the developers have that confidence that they're looking at in that about 1,500 a year number of homes. Southwest has moved up the chart in terms of total, when you compare total homes being built annually to the other school districts in the greater San Antonio area, up now into the top 5. And you can see Medina Valley up there about 2,300 a year in 4th place. Here's a list of the top performing subdivisions. You'll see many on the list that we've talked about over these last few years. Note how many of them are now I did note in the columns on the right, I did sort 24 attendance zones. So when you look at the data by attendance zone, the Bob Hope and Spicewood areas are seeing about 375 homes closed over the last 12 months. And then you can see Meadow Creek and Crewald, and then Southwest Elementary all doing over 150 homes as well per year. When you roll those up, many of those fall into the Resnick attendance zone. There are about 1,000 homes closed in the Resnick attendance zone over the last year. And then you can see the steady growth that the Legacy High School attendance zone has seen since 2018, 2019. In terms of total lots, right now there are about just under 3,000 total lots fully developed. Those are lots without a house started on them. There's another 2,000 plus homes that are lots, that are under development. So when you combine everything on the single family side, there's over 8,100 single family lots planned in the district as of March. So driving around, seeing some additional things happening. We know that there are potential for 600 to 700 more lots to come into the mix here. And then we're also hearing additional lots that could be developed along the 35 corridor near 1604 that could add another 3,000 lots into the mix for the district. So let's look at some of the photographs of the development quickly. Here's the Vita subdivision. What's interesting here is I'll jump ahead real quick. They originally started with product that was more expensive, like you see in the left-hand part of the slide, and then they've also added Lennar with the more affordable type of homes as well. So that's boosted some of the numbers, but the yield is staying around 0.2 enrolled students. Note that there are over 500 apartments that are coming. They're getting, I believe that Los Arcos is open now, but the Viento apartments are also right next to it. So combined, those are over 500 units that will be delivered. Here's just a picture of the hospital under construction there, job growth in the district. You can see also the Smiley track just east of Hunter's Pond is now moving dirt. That'll add another 500-600 homes in that area there between Vita and Hunter's Pond. Here, just another photograph looking back to the east, 410. You can see Applewhite Meadows here in the center, but right here, you can see the South San Antonio apartments. Those are income assisted apartments that are coming in, part of that 1,700 or so units that are currently. Let's go ahead and move over down 16 Watson Road. Toyota's up in the upper right of the photograph. You can see Preserve at Medina. Look how big it is today. Think back many years ago when this was just a sea of dirt. And look at all of the homes that are there now. So D.R. Horton and LGI continue to build many homes. Now this Rancho Carlota, this subdivision right here just keeps adding lots, but it's yielding 0.7 students per home. So again, income assisted, I believe Habitat for Humanity here is giving you a good yield in this particular area. Lots of activity beginning around Resnick and Southwest, and then the future Alvarado Elementary, areas. So this, you can see Medina Crossing for KB, also in the upper right, Legacy Point for Lennar. But this track right here that we've, this is going to be Roush Coleman Homes here coming in. And so we're also watching the tracks that are adjacent to, we continue to hear that developers are looking for those owners to sell that piece of land. As you move over into the Fisher Road corridor, you can see two of the Frontier Crossing, the Bristol Apartments. You can see the Mesa Vista development with Classic Century and Castle Rock. Then here's Lennar with the Valley Soul. So at Pearsall and Kinney, just by summer, the land just to the west of that looks like it is now controlled by Lennar, and they could have 600 to 700 homes going there in the Southwest Elementary Attendance Zone. Just make note that that's not in our forecast yet. That is brand new. So Summer Hills model, this is the product that's just a little bit higher up in price from what you're seeing. This starts in the 300s. So Meadow Creek Attendance Zone, Crescent Hills, top seller. And then D.R. Horton at Solana Ridge, they're down to their final phase, but we continue to watch the wooded area next to 410. They've gone back and forth with the city for, they've tried to get a build to rent condo development, apartments, possibly single family in there. So we continue to watch that track. Up in the 1604 and 90 area, you can see the Amazon distribution warehouse there just south of 90, but you can see Applewood and the growth that's occurred here. But note that there are still additional apartments planned here. There's retail that's planned here. On the northeast corner, HEB owns that corner for a future store. So a lot potentially could be happening here over the next 5 years in terms of adding retail and additional development to the district. So again, Cinco Lakes, just amazing to watch it progress over the years. Continuing to add here, look at the photograph of Cinco Lake. I just remember standing here telling you that, hey, there's a neighborhood here, but Pulte's going to do called Cinco Lakes, and there's nothing there. And now you can just go up 1604 and see all the homes up the hillside. We continue to watch Lucky Ranch. Just know most of it is in Medina Valley, but there are pieces of land, this land that snakes around here, plus all of that you see kind of originally or somewhat graded out there. Those are all in Southwest ISD. But this is the area that the rezoning moved to Big Country. And then finally, the Melissa Ranch area around Crewald. Okay, so when you look at everything that's happening in terms of single family construction, we're looking at about 61 total homes over the next 5 years, averaging about 1,400. But really the lot supply today would only allow for that pace for 3 to 4 years. That's why I'm mentioning we're gonna have to continue to watch this, because the developers are not gonna let this fall off. They're gonna continue to add plats as they see this fall back. So we're starting to already hear from the city of San Antonio and other developers that, hey, we're looking at, in particular, really that 35 corridor as well. So we will continue to watch that. But based on what we know today, over 9,000 homes, 2,700 apartments, the yields are showing that as the homes are going up, as more of the smaller homes are being built, the yield is coming down. So you can see this year the impact that the smaller homes have had on the overall yield. Apartment-wise, the new apartments have been very strong student producers. They yielding 0.45 as an average. But look over there on the right, you can see how the total number of students living in apartments in 21 was just above 600. Now it's over 1,000 across the district as these new developments have been added. So what does this mean in terms of enrollment? It keeps the district on that 2.5% to 3% annual growth rate. The blue line is more of a 2.5% rate. So I know y'all ended the school this past school year at about 14.3. And so we're thinking that on the low end 14.5, but probably should be by November into that 14.7 range if all of these houses that are under production close. But that will move the district out, that 5-year growth, or remember I was talking about the 3-year numeric growth, 1,300 kids, that would probably move you all up into third place overall in terms of fastest growth. But the red line is more of a 3 to 4% annual growth. So if we continue to see more development come in, there's potential for the rate to strengthen, especially if interest rates do come back down a little bit. What does this mean in terms of capacity? You all, with the 2023 bond, it's great that it passed because it gave you the expansion of Bob Hope and also the additional elementary at Alvarado. And you can see here, this dash line is the functional capacity of elementary. You can see by 2025, 26, you're already into that 90 to 100% full range, but the additional capacity does drop it back down into that 80 and under 90% for a few years. But an additional elementary is likely going to be needed, as towards the end of the decade at this pace. So you're in pretty good shape on middle school and high school. I've got the individual numbers in there for you all. I think the biggest campuses that are going to take a lot of this housing growth, Sky Harbor, its new attendance zone with the Von Ormy area, Southwest Elementary, these actually will grow higher from what I've got here with that additional Lennar neighborhood, but Spicewood Park. So, the additional elementary will come in and help relieve some of the overcrowding from the growth. So that's fantastic, but we're going to have to continue to watch this as we go forward. Now, the boundary changes did provide you all more balance, especially moving more into McAuliffe. And you can see here when you look through the projections for the middle schools, many of them are now falling into that 50, 60, 70% usage of capacity. Everything seems pretty balanced. And then high school growth looks like it's headed towards where you're going to have both schools generally around 2,300 here in the near future. I know that's a lot to cover every time I'm here, but I'll answer any specific questions that you have at this time.
Questions, anyone? Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome presentation. Thank you.
All right, Brent, thank you.
See you in a year.
All right, thank you very much.
I did tell Brent that you better be right. He's been right, so give him kudos for that.
Okay. Budget update.
Yes, we're gonna have Scott. He's gonna come up and present on the 24-25 budget. You should have a copy on your desk.
All right. Good evening, President Vasquez, members of the board, Dr. Ball. Tonight I will provide a brief update on the 24-25 budget. You should have a copy on your desk. Here we go. All right. So we have, tonight we're going to go over the budget process that we do every year, the revenue projections. We'll go over the preliminary budgets, and we'll talk about what's the upcoming tax rate that we'll be looking at approving in August, and then the timeline for that as well. Hey. All right, next month, as I said, we'll bring you a proposal for a budget and a tax rate to approve, and we'll do that on August 27th. All right. Getting into the meat of our revenue, this is the portion from our revenue template that we work on throughout the year, and currently we believe the majority of our revenue will be from this template, and we haven't not received our actual projections yet from our partner that we use, Mo Casey, but we believe we're pretty close right here. It'll fluctuate a little bit as we get closer to August. So you can see those numbers from the previous screen are on this additional source of revenue. We have all of our revenue sources here. We're looking at a total revenue of 159 million. That's the same total we brought in June. And so we still think that's a good projection for right now. Some items of information on this revenue source. We are looking at not receiving as much SHARS program revenue as we have in the past. So we're a little bit short on that capacity. So that's a little bit of an item of concern for us. So, all right.
We're not getting, what did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. The SHARS revenue, our Medicaid reimbursement revenue, they changed some of the rules, and so we're projected to receive significantly more than we are currently receiving. So
More?
less. We are hoping to receive more. We did not. So.
Okay.
So I just want to talk about that real quick too for this year. So we had projected about a 3.8 million revenue for this fiscal year right now in 23-24. And we got notice probably in January, February that, and this is not nothing that Southwest did, but something between the federal government and the state, that they changed the rules on us. So we are actually working with our lawyers and MSB that does this for us, our reimbursement programs, to appeal, because right now we receive about 600,000, but we anticipated about 3.8 million because that's what we've been receiving over the years. So I just wanted to share that with you because I have been talking about budget for this fiscal year and our concerns on the fund balance and spending, because we already went into this budget at the beginning of the year with a $4.5 million deficit because we got overpaid last year. Now on top of that, so we're looking at about a $7 million loss in revenue between those two. We are appealing it and fighting it, and hopefully that we win our appeal, that we will receive our funding. But we're not positive that we will win our appeal.
Is that all school districts?
That's all school.
Is that something that we want to unite together and fight together?
And we all have united. We all have either with an organization that we use to run our Medicaid reimbursement, but some of us have got lawyers to help work on it. And it's really an appeal to the Texas Human Health Commission.
Yeah.
And so we got to go to that meeting and basically plead our case. We think we have, it's similar to the accountability. They changed the rules on us in the middle of the year, and with us expecting those revenue funds to come in. And so we think that we have a good case. That's at least what we're being told. But the first time around, they denied it. So then we got a formal appeal. So now the next steps will be a formal appeal.
And you're appealing to who?
We're appealing to the Texas
Health and Human Services.
Yeah. Health and Human Services Commission. Correct.
There you go. All right.
Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
No,
I
you're
just
good.
wanted to make sure they
You're good. This next slide here is a required slide that we're required to present to you all. It talks about a possible funding lag. Basically, the state uses previous year's property values to calculate our funding. So just supposed to let you guys know that. So, all right, moving on. Here's the current year-to-date slide. It looks very similar to your financial report they have in your budget packet, in your board packet. Brandon talked about the revenue loss that you can see right there. We are expecting to receive additional revenue, but we are probably not going to receive the budgeted amount. So we're going to be a little tight this year. But we also have some good things going on. We have our bond payment coming up in August, and we also have our TDA spend down that the Child Nutrition Department is doing. So we got some good things going on in the other budgets. So, all right. Now on to the next year's budget. As you can see, got the $159 million revenue. We've added in our raise and the stipends that were approved last month, and the stipends will be approved tonight, hopefully. And then we have the campus budgets that we'll go into a little more detail, as well as our departmental budgets. So right now, the way things sit, we are looking at a $12.4 million deficit. And that's where we're at. Any questions? All right. Moving into campus allotments. These numbers are part of the overall budget, but we wanted to break it out by campus so you guys can see what we're providing to the schools. This is a non-payroll budget. It doesn't include any federal funds. It's just their allotment that we provide through the general fund budget. So it's based on the enrollment projections of 14,702. That's the same projection enrollment that we use for the staffing. So everything is consistent. So, all right. Next, moving to our program allotments. These are the numbers that come from the state formula template that we use, and then this is where we get our revenue, and then from there we kind of get a good idea of what we need to spend on each special program. Then we take out the payroll part, and then we provide the district department with the remaining based on the spending percentage. So next we have the department allocations. It's pretty much the same thing. We use historical data as well as our best guess if we have any upcoming expenses to kind of go from there. Been a lot of cuts this year. Unfortunately, a lot of increased costs, so we weren't able to cut as much as we'd like, but we think we're pretty good with these numbers right here. So, all right. Continuing with district-wide budgets, we have some additional budgets here. You see a lot of our insurance costs, utilities, just all kind of good stuff going on there. You'll notice the capital projects this current year are a little bit higher than they will be next year as we close out our projects. We'll be going into our bond funds, so we'll be using those funds as opposed to our capital projects, as opposed to our general fund. So that should help with the budget there. So,
on
yes,
that
ma'am.
previous page.
Yep.
The second from the bottom, that's 71-998.
Yes.
Why is that going? What is that?
So that is a payment that we made previously with our towards bonds, and that we don't have to use that amount of money anymore. We just
Oh, okay.
so it's
So
a
it's bond
yeah,
related?
it's bond related.
Okay.
And so pretty nice drop off. So that was good for us. All right. And then here we have our substitute budgets and our additional funding that we pay. It's payroll, but it's not. We don't include it in our budgeted payroll. So this is because this is hard to project budgets. It's our substitutes, our extra duty, all that good stuff. All right. Any questions on the general fund budget? We'll talk more, of course, in August. So.
Well, we'd like to, we're sharing with this, we didn't want them to go line by line for every budget so that you'll be here forever, but y'all take these, and if you'll have questions, we'll come back in the brown bag, we'll do another budget update. If you'll have questions individually, we can dive into them a little bit more for you.
Does this include the stipends that we just received?
Correct. This will include the stipends once, because there's a line item just for stipends, but we're predicting that y'all approve these, and this will be on the budget.
We're hoping to have a better updated personnel budget as people come and go, as the HR department continues to onboard people and people leave the district, salaries will change. And so that'll affect those numbers as well. So, all right, moving on to the child nutrition budget, one of my favorites. Very exciting news. The Texas Department of Agriculture decided to allow food service department to keep 6 months worth of fund balance as opposed to 3. So Winston was very excited about that. He sent us an email. Anyways, so we're continuing with our spin down in TDA because we want to make sure we get the equipment that we need for our schools. But everything looks good here. We got the summer feeding as well in there. All right, debt service budget. This is our bond payment, anticipated bond payment in February and August, as well as our anticipated revenue when we set the tax rate next month. Any questions on that one? No. All right, so currently our tax value is $1.16, and you can see the tax history on the far right. It's very exciting what the tax rate will be coming up in this year. As we get closer to the end of August, we'll have a little bit more information on that as well. We think it'll be pretty similar to what it is now, maybe a little bit less, depends on the
We
compression.
got our property values in, over the last 3 years, our property values have increased like astronomically, like 17%, 16%. And so when that happens, it triggers a state mechanism in the new legislation to compress your M&O tax rate. So that's why you see on the right side there, where we were at, 2023 or 2022, we were at $1.37, and we went to $1.33, and then we dropped all the way down to $1.16. But that's because of the property tax compression laws that went into play, excluding the $100,000 homestead. And so this year we just got our values. Our values are up about 5%, because now the $100,000 homestead takes into account that. So we shouldn't get compressed as much. And so we were thinking most likely that our tax rate will either remain the same or be very slightly smaller than what it is right now, at $1.16, maybe like $1.50. But we work through those calculations. We'll bring that back at the next brown bag, and then obviously to get approved at the end of the month in August.
All right, so the timeline coming up is well, we've kind of talked about it like 3 or 4 times today. We have the June budget workshop that we already completed. July, we're doing it right now. And then in August, we have the tax rate that we'll be setting and the budget that we'll be approving. So, all right. And these are the very important dates that we must make sure that we hit so we can publish our items in the newspaper, make sure that everything is in hand as we approve those tax rates and budgets on August 27th. All right. Any questions? I believe I was under 10 minutes. So. All right, thank you.
Okay. First read of TASB board policy update 123.
So you have a copy of the TASB update. Annually, TASB provides us guidance on laws and policies that need to be changed legally. So you'll see them listed as legal with the appropriate code. And then, of course, they provide suggestions for the local. As a committee, everybody that is affected by this policy update change was given the opportunity to review the local requirements to ensure that it aligns with our policies and practices that we already have place. This policy update has things such as accountability, board trainings, taxes, safety and security, records management, instructional resources, and special ed, which was a large portion of that. And so these are still based on the ever-changing laws and rules that we're getting from the state. And so this would be our TASB update 1. And then if you have any questions, I have a list of who the point of contact is for each policy, so we can ask them to give more information on anything. And then if you have any other questions before we come next month to approve it, we can ask those questions. All of those directors and EDs will be present.
We got that. 2024-25 student parent handbook.
And so I have Adrian Ramirez coming, and don't worry, we're not going to read the whole thing to you. But we do want to make sure that, as an item of information, that we allow the board to understand some of the changes that have been in there. So that way, in case it is different from when your child was present at the school, and to make sure that we're all aware here in the boardroom of some of the changes that have taken place. Adrian?
Good evening, everybody. You should have a copy actually of the changes that we've listed for you that are in the 2024-2025 student handbook. And so we continue to use the TASB model for developing our handbook in the district. And a few of the changes that we've made, because this is in a legislative year, there haven't been very many changes. We've updated some information. What we wanted to do was really emphasize attendance, because that continues to be one of our goals. Emphasize attendance so that parents have any questions that might have about attendance answered through the handbook. And so making sure that we emphasize what a state excused absence is, and giving them information about the submission of notes and things like that. So there's some additional information also, and an emphasis on, again, multiple state excused absences. There's also some information that was provided about through Student Support Services about accelerated instruction, and through House Bill 1416 and promotion and retention information. We also updated some information regarding the MTSS coordinator to reflect job title change. There's information, a lot of information we included was about social workers and the different roles they play on campuses, making sure that parents really understand that social workers are there to provide a range of services in a variety of areas. In the area of working with children of military families, in the area of students who are in foster care, bullying and harassment, and also reporting suspected abuse. In addition, there's also some additional information about mental health support. Again, the idea is to make sure that parents don't have to dig for information regarding the services that are available and the information that's there to help them out. So a lot of information added about social workers. Also, we included some information from our health services department that includes an update on the minimum state vaccine requirements for students in school. So are there any questions?
No. Anyone have any questions? I was just reading through this, a few changes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Extracurricular administrative guidelines.
Yes, Mr. Wagner, Judge Weiner has some information on this item.
Can everybody hear me? We were tasked with, Mr. Flores and I were tasked with coming up with some guidelines, administrative guidelines, to really bring into all of our extracurricular activities into the same way of how we recognize our students, both at the board meeting, how we do send-offs and things like that. So it's not just athletics when we're doing something, but all of our kids are equally and equitably recognized when we do certain things. So this policy covers those recognitions, send-offs, and things like that. The second thing we did was bring into when all of our students and our extracurricular kids travel, how we go about either in the district or overnight when we do parent meetings, how we go about having those meetings if something happens, what are those guidelines, and really doing that. And how we came about that was, once we were tasked with that, we brought principals together to ask them what they need from us to have that unilateral policy, or not policy, but guidelines, to be able to help them navigate when we're trying to do these things, from recognizing to discipline. So the last thing we did was come up with a basic way of how we discipline people who are representing our schools, and make sure that we take care of that in an equitable way as well. So that our principals, their biggest thing was when they come back to us, or how do we do it in a manner that is similar to when they're in the building, if they go to DAEP, or if they do certain things, that when they come back, how are we going to do those things? And so we listened to them, we put that together, we shared that with them, got their feedback, and this is that product. That's the general idea of it all. Do you have any questions for me?
This will also be included as an addendum to the back of the student parent handbook, so that it's available for any sport, extracurricular activity, athletics. It will be available at all times.
You want me to cover the next one too, real quick?
Yeah, you just.
Questions? Thank you. Hey, Coach.
Thank you. I've been told to stay real quick.
Okay, item 7. Administration, Human Resources, consider approval of new athletics department evaluation template for coaches.
So annually, we do ensure that everybody is evaluated. In the last couple of years, we've done a great job of really reviewing evaluations to ensure that it matches the job in which somebody has. We've had social workers, academic coaches, counselors, central office paraprofessionals, and we've upgraded all of those to make sure that there is some logic and equity about ensuring that we honor the work that people do, but actually measure what we're requiring them to do. This year, we've taken a look at coaches, and so if you'll explain your process and.
So we took what we were evaluating our coaches with was a general central office plan that it was not very easy to evaluate specifically coaches and what we see in them and try to help them grow and improve. So we went to our coordinators and looked at what we did, how we should improve it, what are the things that we want to evaluate them on. So we have your head coach evaluations that we do, and then we have assistant coach evaluations that we do so that we can provide better feedback, better ways to grow our coaches and move forward from there.
Questions, anyone? I'll entertain a motion.
I move.
We have a motion and a second. Well, I think Joe, did you say it? Joe, yeah. That the board approve the new athletics department evaluation templates. Hearing no questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion
Thank you.
passes. Okay. Hey, business and finance, item B. Consider approval of stipends for the 24-25 compensation plan.
Yes, sir. We came last month, we brought the compensation plan. We did ask the board to approve an incentive stipend and also a bilingual stipend of $3,000. With that, we took out our stipend list. We went through a TASB study. We were able to look at our stipends, compare them to our comparison group across Bexar County. Then we took the list of stipends, we sent it out to all our directors or EDs that are over these programs and had them evaluate and take a look at our stipend schedule. So there is a handout that highlights some of the changes. There wasn't a lot of changes. And then behind that, you have the whole packet of stipends. We have quite a few stipends, and stipends are important to our folks because we have a lot of individuals doing a lot of things outside of their normal duties. But just really the highlights of special education, we found out that in our self-contained classrooms, that we were one of the only districts not giving a stipend to all the self-contained classrooms. So we're asking the board to approve across the board any special ed education teacher that's in a self-contained to get the $3,500 that we give to the behavior unit at this point. We have some leads in special ed that we're adding a stipend because they're going to be the leads of that specific group. Under fine arts, there were some stipends that we weren't in market. And from the recommendation of the fine arts director, and then Mr. Scott Stevens kind of looked at the market area to compare, and we were undervaluing these stipends. So there's 4 stipends there that we would like for the board to approve. The same thing with athletics. There was 2 that we felt like we needed to upgrade and make them equitable to the market. And then at the bottom, we've added a special assignment, a school improvement administrator. This is for a principal that we've asked to go to a certain campus for school improvement. So there's a stipend there. We put the winter incentive in here, but this is one that you've already approved. Our plan is we haven't decided how we're going to pay that out. We talked about splitting that up, maybe 500, 500. But right now we don't have enough. We want to wait till folks come back and then in August or September, send out a survey on how they would like to receive that. Bilingual teacher, you already approved. I wanted to highlight that because that's one of the changes that we're putting into the stipend packet. We increased the lunch monitor because we did a 2% raise. We normally give an increase to our lunch monitors. So we didn't do that at the last compensation. So we're asking the board to approve that to be moved up. And then we've been bringing subs to do training. And we would like to give them a flat fee of $100 a day when we bring it in for PD. So we're recommending to the board the stipend packet with these changes for the 24-25 school year.
Questions?
I just have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The high school band director stipend is considerably more than,
The middle school?
no, the athletic stipend. I'm just curious, what is the, what's the basis of that?
Well, so are you talking about the,
Like the head football?
well, the head football coach, the difference is like our high school band directors are on a teacher pay scale with this stipend. Our head football coaches or coordinators on a professional coordinator scale, so a teacher scale versus the coordinator scale is a lot different. And so that's where you see the difference. So the difference in their pay is actually, they're making more because of where they land as a coordinator for a district.
Okay, because because it's just not that they're a football coach.
Correct.
They're
They're also the coordinator, but they're on a bigger scale,
Yeah.
a larger scale because they're coordinator across the district.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I move. A second.
Motion and second that the board approve the attached updates for the 24-25 compensation plan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, consider approval of district multi-hazard emergency operations plan, severe weather and hazmat annexes.
We have Mr. Figueroa going to give us information, and this one is located in this.
All right. Good evening, board members. Texas Education Code and Board Policy CKC legal state that each school district shall adopt and implement a multi-hazard emergency operations plan for use in all of our district's facilities. This plan must address prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. It must also provide for employee training, mandatory safety drills, measures to ensure coordination with first responders and local agencies, and the implementation of a required comprehensive safety and security audit to be conducted every 3 years. The district's multi-hazard emergency operation plan must also include plans for responding to severe weather events and hazmat incidents. The District Safety and Security Committee met several times during this past year to develop, review, and finalize both the severe weather and hazmat annexes. The major goal of the committee was to ensure that these emergency plans reflected both campus and district needs. This time, we are recommending that the board approve the district multi-hazard emergency operation plan, severe weather, and hazmat annexes as presented for your review.
Questions?
I move. A second.
For a motion and second, the board approve the district MHEOP severe weather and hazmat annexes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, consider approval of schematic design for the Elm Creek Elementary renovation project.
Yeah, we're recommending to the board to approve the schematic design that was presented today on Elm Creek Elementary.
And we're going to discuss the traffic flow.
Yeah, so
That's not affected.
schematic design, this is the earliest stage. Then we'll move, once we got kind of the preview of what they want to do, we'll move into design development. We'll get more detailed and then even further construction documents. So we're asking the board just to approve the recommendation of schematic design that was presented earlier by LPA. Thomas. You have anything to add, Thomas?
I don't have anything. You did a great job, sir.
I thought he was gonna present it.
I don't know why he wants.
Brandon covered it.
I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move.
I'll second.
For a motion and second, that we approve the schematic design for Elm Creek Elementary renovation project as presented earlier. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now we have the approval of schematic design for the Creewell Road School of Arts renovation project. That was presented earlier also.
I move.
I'll second.
We have a motion second that we approve the schematic design for the Creewell Road School of the Arts renovation project as presented earlier. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now item F, consider of the award of RFP 2324-030 construction manager at risk contract for the Elm Creek Elementary renovation project.
Yes, sir. So LPA and district staff worked together preparing the RFP for this construction manager at risk project. The district accepted bids for the contract on June 27th. We were, 5 bids were submitted, and the bids for pre-construction and construction phase costs range from $1,843,809 to $2,450,250. District staff and LPA have reviewed and ranked the firms based on the information provided in the RFP. And it's the new handout. We didn't have these at the subcommittee meeting, so we're handing them out tonight. And Billy's been working really hard to get all these reference checks and stuff done so the committee could put together these rankings. So the rankings show as Joris General Contractors being the best value for the district on this project. The fees being $1,843,809 funded by the 2023 bond. So it is district staff recommendation that we approve Joris General Contractors as the construction manager at risk on the Elm Creek Elementary renovation project.
Questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move. I second.
We have a motion and a second that we approve George General Contractors as the construction manager at risk on the Elm Creek Elementary School renovation project with a contract amount of $1,843,809 million. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we have the Creewell Road School of the Arts construction manager at risk.
Yes, sir. So district staff and Huckabee worked together on this RFP. Bids were accepted on June 25th. We received 6 bids that day. The bids range from $1,538,000 to $1,998,000. District staff and Huckabee have reviewed and went through the rankings of the selection criteria. And again, Billy also handed out the new rankings there, and it shows as Marksman General Contractors being the best value for the district on this project. So it is district staff recommendation that the board approve Marksman General Contractors as the construction manager at risk on Creewell Road in the amount of $1,538,000.
Questions?
I move. I second.
The motion is second that we approve Marksman General Contractors as the construction manager at risk on the Creewell Road School of the Arts renovation project. Contract with the amount of $1.538 million. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Okay, consider endorsement of TASB Board of Directors for Region 20. Board members, we have Region 20 position A and Region 20 position D. Both people are running unopposed. One is Ginger Friesenhorn from East Central, and one is Rich Senna from Vernon. And these are both, I believe, one is a 1-year, one is a 2-year. Filling positions that are vacated. We received a letter, I know, from Ginger, and then I received an email from Rich. They are both, again, unopposed. I think we ought to support them. They're both neighbors. One's a little closer than the other, but they're both Region 20. I think we ought to support both of them with a letter of endorsement. Saying so, I'll entertain a motion.
I second.
We have a motion, a second, that we endorse Ginger Friesenhahn, East Central ISD for Region 20, position A, and Rich Senna, Bernie ISD, Region 20, position D. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Consider approval of construction materials testing lab for the new central office project. Ms. got that, Thomas.
Yes, sir. So, KenCon Ltd. is the construction manager at risk on the new central office project. With that project going on, there's going to be construction materials testing that needs to be done. We have a as needed RFP for geotechnical and construction materials testing. We rate the engineers based on their services. They were all pre-approved. We try not to overwhelm any one group. That's why we try and keep several on board. We don't want to overwhelm them with all the 5 projects that we're gonna have going on at one time. Robert Kistner is one of the pre-approved firms that we have. We sent the construction drawings out to them. They gave us a bid and a quote on what they see as a not to exceed amount of $76,203.60. So it is district staff recommendation to approve that contract amount to Robert Kistner for the construction materials testing on the new central office building.
Questions?
I move. I second.
Motion and second, the board approve Robert Kistner as a construction material testing lab for new central office project in the amount not to exceed $76,203.60. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, consider approval of materials testing lab for Bob Hope Elementary addition and renovation project.
Yes, sir. So similar thing. District staff I worked with KenCon to get a set of drawings out. Arius Geo Professionals is another one of our pre-approved geotechnical engineers. They had done work originally on or in the past at Bob Hope, so we chose them to give us a quote. They came back after looking at the construction documents with a quote from the amount of not to exceed $59,796. And so it is district staff recommendation that the board approve Arius as the construction materials testing lab for Bob Hope Elementary School renovation project for that amount of $59,796.
96 or 760?
796, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. There's a typo on the bottom on that fiscal impact. Sorry.
Okay. We have a motion and a second that the board approve Arias as the construction material testing lab for Bob Hope Elementary School additions and renovation project in the amount of $59,796. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Tomas. Curriculum instruction, consider approval of 24-25 secondary new courses.
We have Luis Gonzalez tonight, and he's going to share this information.
Yes, good evening, Board President, board members, and Dr. Ball. Thank you for the opportunity. This evening, we're bringing several new high school courses for consideration of approval. CASTEM high school students pursuing their associate's degree are required to take speech 1315, psychology, sociology, and/or economics in their 4-year plan. These dual credit courses not only fulfill their high school requirements, but also earns them college credit. These college courses are paired with high school courses. Well, the leadership team at CASTEM conducted transcript audits, discovering that out of district students arrive with prior credits for these high school courses, such as the communication application, psychology, and sociology. It was indicating that these students have already completed an equivalent course elsewhere. So the high school courses presented for consideration of approval that are listed in page 2 and 4 of your copies, these high school courses will serve as options to pair with the college dual credit courses that have been listed. And this will allow our students to earn high school credits without duplication of credits. So we are recommending that the board approve the 2024-2025 secondary new courses that are listed on that page 2 and 4.
And those courses will be at all the high schools?
They will be available for all the high schools. Right now, we are finding that for the CAST is particularly the campus that is in need of at the moment, but these will be available absolutely for the other high schools as well, once they're approved. and as needed.
Motion?
I'll move.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you explain, so they pair them, that means that they have to take two separate courses? to
No,
make
so
one?
there's a college course, and that college course needs to be paired with a high school course, right? So that they're earning the high school credits that are required by the state.
Oh,
But yeah, and so that matches with that dual credit or college course.
thank you.
Mhm.
I move.
A motion, a second, that we approve the 2024-2025 secondary courses as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Consider approval of the purchase of right-of-way.
We have Ms. Chris, and she's gonna share the information on this new program.
Good evening, Board President, Senior Staff, Dr. Ball. Curriculum Instruction is requesting the approval of the purchase of Writable. Writable will assist students with writing skills for 3 through 8, English 1, and English 2. Writable provides quick and immediate feedback to students and a grading will grade those things for the teachers as well. At the end of the year, teachers did have an opportunity to demo Writable. Feedback from teachers was that it will save them time, and it is closely aligned to how TEA scores for STAR and EOC. So we are recommending the approval of purchase for Writable for $117,180, utilizing campus budgeted funds from Title I.
Questions? A motion, a second, the board approve purchase of writable student licenses at the cost of approximately $117,180. Hearing no questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay. One more thing.
Yes, it's hard to believe that the school year is going to be starting soon, but I would like to invite all the board to join us for convocation. And convocation this year will be August the 14th at Southwest High School. We should start at about 8:30. In addition to that, we also are having our new teacher training. If y'all remember, last year was held at McNair. It'll be held at McNair again. This will be on August the 6th. And that is the same day that we'll have our brown bag. So we'll have brown bag and then have lunch with our new teachers like we did last year. We'll put all this again out, more information to come, but just wanted, anybody wants to already put it on their calendar.
Are they all gonna be here or?
The brown bag will be here and then we'll go to McNair. So that day would like to start brown bag at 10 o'clock to make sure we finish in time to go to the new lunch. I mean, the new teacher lunch. The 6th, August the 6th.
Anything else?
And of course, school starts on the 19th. At 5 o'clock in the morning, we'll be going to transportation. I know many of you joined us last year to cheer on our bus drivers. So you're very welcome to join us at that time. I think that is on August the 19th at 5 a.m.
School starting earlier this year, or is that just my imagination?
It just seems like it's earlier.
And you said the brown bag is gonna be at 10?
At 10 in the morning here, and then we'll finish by 11:30 to make it over there, McNair at 12 o'clock. And we'll have lots of new teachers. The new teacher thing is going to be on August the 6th.
Okay. As permitted by sections 551.001 through 551.146 of the Texas Government Code and pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, we will not go on this closed session. 8:31.
go back into open session at 9:11 PM, and we will move to item 11A.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
Second.
Joe Diaz seconds. Do we have any questions for it? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you. Do we have any other business?
Yes, I would like to congratulate Adrian Ramirez as the new Chief of Staff, and then also congratulate Paul Black as the Special Education Director of Operations.
Adrian, thank you for the wonderful job you do for us. Well deserved. There being no other business, meeting is adjourned at 9:12.